Hi, welcome to Louisville Bespoke. My name is Yamelka Rodriguez, and I'm the founder of Louisville Bespoke. Today we have Jenny Pfanenstiel, and she's the owner of Forme, and we're here to shop. And Jenny, we wanted to ask you, tell us a little bit about how you got started making hats.
Absolutely. Well, I started out in the costume industry. I have a degree from the Art Institute of Colorado and thought I was going to make costumes for the rest of my life, which I did for about 15 years. I made costumes for Cirque du Soleil, a Grammy dress for Margaret Cho, commercials, movies, and thought I was going to do that for the rest of my life. And then I met a milliner when I lived in Chicago. She was from New York, and she had been doing millinery for about 35 years. And I had no idea that millinery still existed in the United States because it's changed so much over the decades. And I asked her, how do you get involved? And so she told me to learn what's called blocking, which is a 100-plus-year-old technique where you mold material over old wooden shapes.
Wow.
And since I knew how to hand sew, once I learned the blocking, it just kind of came natural, and 8 years later, here I am.
Wow. And where did it start? Where did the blocking start? Did it start in the U.S. or in another country? Do you know?
Well, my guess is it started over in Europe. The term milliner actually came from Italy. Millanier is how they used to pronounce it, and it referred to someone who handmade clothing and hats for women and children. And it was also someone who gathered fine laces and fabrics too from overseas. And then eventually it changed into someone who just made hats, and they made the term a little more American, I guess.
Right. They Americanized
Right.
it. Right. And I see you've been in a lot of magazines, and you do a lot of hats for Derby. So tell us what's going on for Derby for you.
Oh, Derby's always exciting around here in Kentucky. I believe it or not, I start making Derby hats after Derby ends. I might get a month off, but I'm immediately starting on collections.
Wow.
I have clients who start looking for hats and getting custom, because some clients, they have a handful of hats that they wear throughout the week that they change into. So we're already starting that design process a year before. And then I've collaborated with someone like Vineyard Vines this year, and that of course started almost a year ago. So I've co-branded partnership with Vineyard Vines, so very excited about that.
And I know you have something exciting to tell us.
I do. I've been asked to be the official milliner of the Kentucky Derby Museum, and it's such an honor. They've never done this before. It's something they've thought about for quite a while, and so they came to me and asked, and it was, of course, an honor to even be considered.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. So we're in the studio. It's incredible, the space that you have here. So tell us a little bit about the process you go through to make one of these hats.
Well, I actually am a true milliner, and what that means is that I make them from scratch. So I'm not buying bases already made and then just decorating them. I'm actually blocking them using a technique that dates back over 100 years. And so you can see throughout my studio I have different shapes and sizes of hat blocks. And what I do is I take the material and I mold it over the wood.
Wow.
And so I wet and steam it, I let it dry, and then I take off the material from the block, and then I sew it. Now this is a fascinator, but the same concept I do for my big brimmed hats. So I block the crown separately, and then I block the brim separately, and then I hand sew it together.
So you're making everything?
Everything, yes, yes. And then it becomes a complete hat. And what's nice about having, working with a milliner like myself is that I can custom make a hat for anyone. A lot of people have trouble finding a hat that fits them properly. It's either too small or, too tight, gives them headaches, or it's too big and they're having to put foam in their hat to help make it stay. So by coming to someone like myself, I can measure your head. That way it fits you perfectly. We can pick out the shape, the material, the style, everything, and just make a hat just for you.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Show us that
Yes.
fascinator. It's just incredible.
So this is something that I've kind of created myself. This is called braid. It's made of it can be made of different things like straw, horsehair, polyester. This is polyester and ribbon, and it comes very thin like this, just
A strip?
strands, yes.
Okay.
And I have a braid machine from the 1800s that I use that sews it together. And
Wow.
while it's sewing it together, I manipulate my hand and fingers, and it creates different shapes for me. And then I hand sculpt it into the final product.
Do you have to put water on it to hand
Nope.
sculpt it?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
Nope. But this technique is definitely not new. It's obviously been around for a very long time, but people use this technique to make regular hats. You'll see that a lot, even for Derby, that people are buying hats from overseas. Is that the braid hats? They're a typical brimmed hat. Where I've done that, and actually it's just like this one that I'm wearing. But I also like to take it to another level and sculpt it. So.
Wow. So how many hats do you sell at Derby for Derby season?
Oh my. Well, this year it's going to be quite different. So, with Vineyard Vines, with the amount of custom that I did for them, it'll probably be close to 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hats.
It is a lot of hats. That's why I start so early. Because I know
Makes
it's coming.
Makes sense. We have new episodes every week. Please subscribe or follow us on the social links below, or go to louisvillebespoke.com. Thank you, and see you next time.